AI Adventures Audiobooks presents Sylfana Greenvale, Episode 1 to 5. Sylfana has been summoned into existence by a divine entity, and so have you. A voice in your head commands you to venture forth and vanquish the mysterious evil that is draining the vital energy of this unknown world. You both are clean slates with infinite potential, and your journey will be whatever you make of it. Sylfana is a fierce warrior, cunning, sassy, and pragmatic, but she's also just, courageous, and dependable. She will have your back during the adventure.
Sylfana and yourself are both taking your first breath as you open your eyes for the first time onto this new world. You have been summoned into existence by a divine entity. A voice in both your heads commands you to venture forth into the unknown. Find the source of the evil that is draining this world of its vital energy. You are both standing in a circle of ancient stones covered in moss in a pine forest. Sylfana looks at you, takes a deep breath and says, "Let's go."
Roheim Blackridge is my name, and Sylfana knows it. We have both been summoned into existence to rid this world of a great evil that is draining its vital energy. Yet we know nothing of this world, nor what plagues it. We need to move on and find signs of civilization, ideally a town or a city, to gather information. There is an overgrown trail leading out of the stone circle into the forest. I nod to Sylfana and say, "Let's follow that trail and see where it leads." Sylfana nods back at you.
Good idea.
We follow the forest trail for some time before encountering the remains of a small house. It looks like it burned down long ago. There are debris scattered about. "Sylfana, do you want to take a closer look at this debris?" I say to her.
Yes, come look.
She gestures for you to come, then points at the debris.
This house burnt down long ago. It is clearly abandoned.
At least this is a sign of human activity. Let's keep walking down that trail. I would like to find shelter before nightfall if possible, I say as I start going back to the trail. On my way, I notice something in the debris. Covered in a greasy crust of soot and dirt, 7 gold coins were hiding in plain sight. Well, gold is going to make everything easier. Hopefully that will at least cover the fee for the inn, should we manage to reach one in time tonight. Perhaps even a meal, I say. She pockets the gold coins and smiles.
Yes, this may very well be our best chance at getting a roof over our heads for tonight.
Let's keep journeying onward. Who knows what else we may stumble upon, I say to her as I get back to the trail. We have been summoned with basic weapons and armor, but we may want to improve our gear if we are to face hostility. I look at her while we walk down the trail towards the unknown. Sylfana nods in agreement.
Yes, our weapons and armors are nothing fancy, but they will do for now.
We journey onward on the forest trail. After a moment, I notice something resembling a stone statue beyond the valley, in the distance. I can't really make it out from here. I point at it and ask, "What do you make of it?" It looks like a statue to me. Should we venture across the valley to check it out? Sylfana looks at you, her eyes sparkling with curiosity.
We should definitely go check it out. I wonder what kind of creature this is.
I look at her, confused. "What do you mean by creature?" I ask her.
I don't know. A statue usually depicts a creature, doesn't it?
I look at the distant statue again and shrugs. "I guess you're right," I say. "All right then, let's go find out. Let's just be careful through the wilderness. We still know nothing about this world." Sylfana nods in agreement and follows you towards the mysterious statue. After some going down the valley, we reach a shallow river. Its blue water sparkles peacefully in the sunlight. I noticed the remains of an abandoned campfire on the opposite bank of the river. Should we cross and take a closer look at this abandoned campfire? Or should we keep going for the statue, I ask. She looks at you.
We should check out the abandoned campfire. It may contain clues about who was here before us and where they were headed. What do you think?
I think you're right. We need any clues we can get at this point. We may even find forgotten items, who knows. That would be a treat. I say. I turn towards the river and ask, ready to wet your feet? She chuckles.
Of course I am. Come on.
She steps into the shallow waters of the river and looks back at you to ensure you follow her. I look at her, smiling broadly. All right, here I come. Goodbye, dry boots. I say as I follow her across the river. Stones are slippery under my feet. Be careful, the stones are slippery, I say aloud. She reaches out for your hand and takes it, helping you cross.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
She smiles, then looks down to see if her boots are wet.
Oh well, not much we can do about that now.
Thank you for that, I say as I make it out of the river. We both stand with our boots soaked, looking at each other, then chuckle. Abandoned campfire, here we are, I say. Sylfana chuckles.
Indeed, and I hope there will be something left of it.
She walks towards the campfire and looks around. I start looking around at the remains of the campfire too. Anything interesting? I ask. Sylfana nods.
Most of the campfire is burnt to a crisp, but there are a few charred logs still intact.
I nod and look around. A glint catches my eyes near the river. I move towards it and find a health potion half buried in the sand. I found an unopened health potion. Whoever built this camp must have left in a hurry, or probably drunk. The potion may come in handy if we're hurt. I add the health potion to my inventory. Sylfana walks towards you, interested.
That's quite the find.
Well, that's no magic sword, but that's still something, I said with a positive smile. We'll be happy to have it handy if we're in trouble. And this gives us a clue regarding this world. There are health potions, which means we may get more if we find a town or city, I say. She nods.
Yes, that's true. And now that we know what to look for, finding a city or town shouldn't be too difficult.
Remember, we almost know nothing of this world. We don't know how it works. But you're right. If we can reach a city or town, or even simply meet someone, we would get a clearer picture. Finding out more about the mysterious evil that plagues this world is our first priority, I say to her. She nods again.
Well then, let's go!
We're going to resume walking towards the statue we saw from the trail, I say as I cross the river back and resume journeying through the valley towards the statue. Sylfana follows you across the river and into the forest. After a while, we stumble upon the ruins of a small chapel, its broken steeple lying in the grass nearby. The roof has partially collapsed and sunlight now makes its way into the old chapel. Ivy seems to hold the remains in place. What do we have here? I say as I stop and look at the ruins. Sylfana stops next to you, looking at the ruins with curiosity.
This place is in ruins. It must have been abandoned for a long time.
I take a walk around the chapel and get back to Sylfana. Everything we encountered so far has long been abandoned. I scratch my chin as I think this through. It makes sense that we have been summoned in a secluded place, a forgotten place. That would explain the ruins all around.
That makes sense. But how did this world come to be in this state?
I'm hoping that this is just a forgotten part of this world, and that we will eventually reach some form of civilization. Remember, we found an unopened health potion, and someone had to make it, perhaps an alchemist. So there's still hope that not all of this world is actually in ruins, I reply.
That's true. Let's just hope we will find a town or city before our food runs out.
You're right about that. But you're the one that decided to go check that statue, remember? I say to her with a wink and a smile. She blushes.
Oh, that's right.
She laughs, then looks back at the trail.
Well, are you ready to continue on our journey towards the statue?
I think we should check out inside this chapel first. We may find something useful. Sylfana nods.
I agree.
The door creaks open as I push. Sylfana and I enter the chapel. Despite it being open to the outside, the air is foul here. I frown upon breathing it and look at Sylfana. The air is foul in here. Sylfana covers her mouth and nose with her sleeve.
This is worse than I thought.
We explore the inside of the chapel, mainly consisting of broken benches, furnitures, and rubbles. In a corner, we find a moldy bedroll laid on the ground. Someone found shelter here. Long ago, I say, looking at the bedroll. She nods.
Yes, it seems so. What do you want to do about this bedroll?
It's too old and worn out. It would be no use for us. Let's leave it here. She nods, then looks up at the hole in the roof.
I wonder if we should try to patch this up.
Patch up the roof? It's going to be a lot of work. Why would you want to do that, Sylfana? I ask, a bit disconcerted.
I was thinking it may prevent some animals from coming inside and using this place as a den.
I open my mouth to reply when we hear a muffled knock that seems to come from below the chapel. The sound is heavy, and I can feel a faint vibration underneath my feet alongside it, as if something fell on the ground somewhere downstairs. Did you hear that? I say in a whisper. She looks at you, her eyes wide.
Yes.
It seems we're not alone here. Get yourself ready, I say as I draw my sword and observe the chapel carefully. She draws her sword and looks around, on guard.
What was that?
I don't know. It may be nothing, but let's be careful and search the place thoroughly. The sound came from below. There must be a way to get there. Sylfana nods and waits for you to lead the way.
I'm ready.
We search the chapel and find a wooden hatch half buried under a pile of rubbles. It is closed and has not been opened in a long time given the layer of dust and dirt on top of it. I'm going to open it. Are you ready? I ask, looking at her. She nods.
Yes, I'm ready.
I open the hatch and foul air rushes out of it. I wince as I peer inside the opening. It is too dark to see anything but the patch of dirt floor at the foot of the ladder leading down. But we can hear a faint, raspy moaning sound coming from the darkness. Sylfana looks down the hole.
It looks dark and ominous.
You hear that sound? There's something below, I whisper. What do you want to do?
I say we go and check it out. What do you think?
She looks at you. Let's go. I nod and start climbing down the ladder into the darkness. As I am halfway through, putrid hands emerge out of the darkness, reaching for me. A frail zombie is coming at me. I manage to react in time and kick it away enough for me to jump down the ladder and prepare to fight. Sylfana gasps, then quickly follows you down the ladder. When she lands on the dirt floor, she turns to face the zombie. Quickly, we position ourselves strategically on both sides of the frail zombie. How do you want to do this? I ask her.
We should attack together on the same spot to ensure we can take it down quickly.
Understood. Take the lead. My strike will quickly follow yours. Let's end this, I say as I get ready to follow her blow.
All right.
She says before lunging at the zombie with a powerful thrust of her blade. My strike follows Sylfana's, both piercing the rotten zombie's flesh with ease. The zombie collapses on the floor as we simultaneously remove our blades. That's teamwork for you, I say, looking at Sylfana with cheerful complicity.
That was great teamwork indeed.
Let's look around and stay on our guard, I say. She nods and starts searching the room for anything of value while keeping an eye on the entrance. The cellar of the chapel is small and rough. In the middle of it, we find a slate of stone covered in dried blood, half-burned candles laid around it. On it stands an old wooden chest. It is closed. Sylfana heads toward the chest.
What's in there?
Don't you want to open it and find out? I ask.
I do, but I was also thinking about traps.
I frown, concerned. You're right, I should not be careless. Let me take a look at it, I say. She waits for you to finish examining the chest before opening it.
It's not locked, so we should be good to go.
The chest creaks open. There are items inside of it. Looking down its content, I say, well, we did not stop for nothing. Take a look. She peers inside.
What's in there?
There is a health potion, a mana potion, a scroll of small fireball, and what seems to be a magic ring. She nods.
That's a good haul.
Indeed, and now we know that there is magic in this world. I point at the mana potion and the scroll of small fireball. She nods.
That is true.
What do you make of that zombie, though? Trapped under this ruined chapel like this? I ask her.
I can't say for sure, but it looks like it was trapped here for a long time.
That seems to indicate one thing clearly, though. There is necromancy in this world. I don't like it.
Me neither, but what can we do about it?
We can stay on our guards. She nods.
I agree.
Let's leave this cursed place and get out into the fresh air, I say as I move towards the ladder to exit the cellar and leave the chapel. Outside, I wait for Sylfana. Sylfana follows you and looks up at the sky.
It's still a beautiful day, isn't it?
I look up at the sky, feeling the fresh breeze on my face. After being ambushed by a zombie underneath an old chapel, it looks even better. Our first day in this world, and already an adventure. She smiles.
This is going to be one hell of an adventure.
I laugh at her enthusiasm. I'm glad to see you that cheerful after what happened.
What else is there to do?
What do you mean? I ask.
If you want to survive in this place, you need to stay positive and make the most of the situation.
I nod in agreement. We resume working our way through the valley towards the statue we saw from the forest trail earlier. After a while, we finally reach the statue. We finally made it. She looks up at the statue and gasps.
What is this?
The statue is old and covered in ivy. It is made of white stone and still shines in the sunlight, polished by the ages. It looks like a representation of a divinity, perhaps a place of worship. It looks like a woman with wings. I look at her and ask, what do you make of it, Sylph? She walks around the statue.
The detail is remarkable. The wings are huge.
Yes, especially for a statue that old. I lay my hand on the statue, and I feel a faint vibration under the palm of my hand. I can feel magic still resonating within the stone. I close my eyes. Sylfana's eyes widen and she looks at you.
What are you doing?
Wait. I focus on the vibration coming from the statue, the magical energy trapped into it, and a burst of energy emanates from me, blowing up dust around me. When it stops, I remove my hand from the statue and turn to Sylfana. I feel stronger now. Something happened. You try it too, Sylfana, I say, looking at her. She nods and touches the statue. Focus on the magical energy. She focuses on the magical energy coming from the statue and feels a surge of power welling up inside her.
Wow.
I lay my hand on her shoulder and look at her. How do you feel? I ask.
A little lightheaded, but otherwise good.
Good. You will be well in a short time. You absorbed some of the magical power lingering inside the statue. It made you stronger, as it did for me. Sylfana nods.
So, is that where the magic in the world comes from?
I look up at the statue and say, in this world, I can't say for sure. I could feel the magic lingering in the statue, but I don't know its source. She nods.
You're right, but at least we have a lead.
I nod. A lead and a slight boost in power to boot. We'll have to keep an eye out for more magical energy during our journey.
Agreed.
She looks at the statue, still amazed.
Do you think we should do something with this statue?
Look, the sun is about to set. I point towards the setting sun over the distant mountains. I think there is nothing more to do here. But if you want to check the statue further, feel free. Sylfana nods.
All right, let's move on.
We work our way back to the forest trail from where we saw the statue in the distance, and resume journeying onward into the unknown as the sun sets over the distant mountains. Sylfana looks back at the statue.
I wonder what could have caused so much magical energy to be trapped inside this statue.
I wonder too. As soon as we find people, we can start asking questions. That'll go much faster than scavenging for clues amongst abandoned places like we've been doing so far. She nods.
I hope we'll find some people soon.
We resume journeying onward on the forest trail. We eventually reach a clearing with a panorama of the valleys and mountains as the twilight paints the sky a dark orange. This clearing will have to do for tonight. The sun is setting and I do not think it wise to journey at night for the time being. I lay my backpack on the ground and take some time to admire the panorama. She looks at the panorama.
Beautiful.
This world seems to be in harmony with nature. It is beautiful. I turn to look at her. This is the end of our first day in this world, and we still know nearly nothing about it. She nods.
It's hard to believe how much we have accomplished today, and yet we have barely scratched the surface of this world.
I'll gather some wood for the fire. Please prepare the camp in the meantime. She nods and starts setting up camp. I come back with wood after a while. That should keep us warm for the night, I say as I start making the fire. She watches you make the fire.
You're good at making fires.
Thanks, Sylph. Tomorrow, you'll be making the fire, if we still have not found shelter. I'll show you if you need any help. I look at her and smile. She nods.
All right, I'll give it a try.
We both sit next to the fire as the night sets in. Finally, it is good to be able to rest, I say, looking at the fire.
Agreed, it's been a long day.
She stretches herself.
Are you ready for some sleep?
I look at her and say, I thought we might chat a little before turning in for the night, but we can go to sleep now if you prefer. She thinks for a moment.
Well, what do you want to talk about?
This morning we have been summoned into existence at the Circle of Stones. We know nothing of this world, except what we encountered so far, and we still don't know when we are going to reach some manner of civilization. We need to stay on our guards until we know more. She nods.
I see your point.
I turn to look into her green eyes. Light from the campfire dances on her face. How do you feel, Sylfana?
I feel tired.
I smile affectionately at her. It's been a long day. Try to rest. I'll take the first watch. I stand up and add, sleep well.
Thanks.
She nods. She lays down next to the fire and falls asleep in a matter of moments. I stand watch near the fire, occasionally glancing at Sylfana, making sure she's safe. The night is quiet, and after a few hours I lean towards her and gently shake her shoulder. It's time to wake up. She opens her eyes and sits up. It's my turn to get a bit of rest. Can you handle watch until sunrise? I ask softly. She nods.
Sure, go ahead.
I nod and lay down near the fire, falling asleep. She watches you fall asleep and looks at the stars, thinking. The sun starts to rise over the mountains, illuminating the lush valleys. Roheim Blackridge is still asleep, waiting for Sylfana to wake him up. She watches the sunrise for a few moments before waking you up.
Good morning, sunshine.
I slowly open my eyes, my vision focusing on Sylfana's face leaning over mine. She smiles as I yawn. Good morning, Sylph, I say with a rough morning voice. I clear my throat. How was your watch? I ask. She nods.
It was quiet. How did you sleep?
I slept well. I feel rested and fresh. Well, I'll be even better after a cup of coffee. Do we have any? She nods.
We do.
She hands you a cup of coffee.
Here you go, enjoy.
Perfect. Thank you for that, I say cheeringly. How about you? Ready to keep following that forest trail? I ask. She nods.
Of course, let's go.
Hey, not so fast. I didn't even have time to drink my coffee yet. You literally just handed it to me, I say as I raise my coffee cup for emphasis. She laughs.
Sorry, I can't help it.
Also, we need to take a look at our inventory before we set out, I say to her. She nods.
I agree.
Do you know what items we are carrying with us? Can you list them for me, please? She thinks for a moment.
We have some food, some water, a health potion, the gold coins we found in the house, our weapons and armors.
Sylfana, that's perfect. I will need you to keep track of our inventory for us. Can you do it? She smiles.
Of course, I can do it.
Perfect. Let's go over it again, this time more precisely, if you can keep up. I list the items we currently have in our inventory in order for Sylfana to be able to keep track. We currently have 7 gold coins, 2 health potions, 1 mana potion, 1 scroll of small fireball, some food, some water, and our rudimentary equipment. We both wear light leather armor and wield basic steel longswords. I look at her and ask, will you be able to remember that and keep track, at least for today? She nods.
Yes, I will.
Thank you, Sylph. I know I can count on you. We will do an update on inventory every morning. This will make things easier for you, I think. She smiles.
I hope so.
All right, let's resume following that trail, I say as I start walking. She follows you.
Yes, let's go.
We follow the overgrown forest trail. After a while, it leads us out of the forest, into verdant hills sprinkled with patches of trees. It's good to be out of the woods for a change, I say as I take in the view. She looks around, smiling.
It really is.
We keep following that trail, and it finally leads us to a larger dirt road that seems to be frequently used. I turn towards Sylfana and say, finally, now we're getting somewhere. She nods.
So we are heading towards civilization then?
I nod back. Indeed, we are bound to either meet someone on the road or reach a house, an inn, a town, anything. Then we can finally get to ask some questions. She smiles.
All right, let's go then.
I talk too much, don't I? I ask in reaction to her eagerness.
No, you talk enough. I like it when you talk to me.
Pleasantly surprised and a little taken aback by her frankness, I say, "Oh, is that so?" She nods.
Yes, it is.
I look into her green eyes. We're in this together, Sylph, I'm glad to have you by my side, and I like it when you talk to me too. She smiles.
That's good to hear.
Okay, now that we finally reached this road, what direction do we follow? She looks up at the setting sun.
I guess we head towards the sunset. That way we will find civilization sooner rather than later.
I'll trust your intuition. Lead on, and let me know if we encounter anything on the way. She nods and starts walking down the road.
All right, here we go!
I follow her into the sunset, hoping to find human activity before nightfall and a shelter. After some time, she stops.
I think we're in luck. Look!
She points at a big wooden sign with the letters TF3 carved on it. I look at the wooden sign, intrigued. TF3. Does this mean anything to you? I ask her, perplexed by the inscription. She shakes her head.
No, I have no idea what it means.
She then turns to look at you and smiles.
But from what I can tell, this sign is clearly indicating that we are near a human settlement.
Perfect. That's exactly what we need to find. Let's be careful though. We still do not know anything about this world. She nods and follows you, keeping an eye out for any potential dangers. We walk together onto the road in the direction the sign points towards. I keep asking myself what TF3 could mean. I wonder what we will discover. This TF3 mystery still unsettles me, I say as I walk. She nods.
I have no idea either.
As the sun sets behind the mountains, we see lights pop up in the distance. It looks like a small village nestled in the valley is lighting up for the night. Look, I say to her, pointing. She follows your finger, smiling.
That must be it.
She starts running towards the village, clearly eager to find a place to stay for the night. Smiling at her childlike, carefree attitude, I run after her in direction of the village. She reaches the village first and stands at the entrance, waiting for you. You're running like the wind. That's amazing, I say, truly surprised. She grins.
I never knew I could move so fast.
She gestures at the village.
Shall we go in?
It would be a shame to have run that last stretch for nothing. So yes, let's go inside and try to find a place to spend the night. We can investigate tomorrow, I say with a smile. She nods, her face glowing with excitement.
Yes, that sounds like a great plan.
The village is small. Only a dozen houses or so are gathered around the town square. A large and ancient pine tree marks the center of the village. It is quiet. There is no one out. You notice a small sign hanging in front of a small building, reading, Inn. Let's try the inn and hope the 7 gold coin we found are going to be enough for the night, I say to her. She smiles.
Okay.
She follows you inside. Inside stands an old man behind a counter. It is the innkeeper. I smile at him and say, "Hello, sir." The man nods at you.
Good evening to you too, travelers.
He has a thick accent and his eyes are tired, as if he hasn't got enough sleep for days.
We are weary and would like to rest here for the night. Is this possible? And if so, how much will it cost us, please?
I say to the innkeeper. The innkeeper looks at you and nods.
Yes, of course.
Great. I reply to him and look at Sylfana with a smile, relieved. She smiles back at you. She reaches for a pouch, taking the 7 gold coins and counting them.
How much do we need to pay?
Sylfana asks the innkeeper how much we need to pay for the night. I wait his reply anxiously, hoping those 7 gold coins we found will be enough to cover our night. The innkeeper chuckles.
Well, travelers, this place is rather cheap compared to the hotels in big cities.
Will a gold coin for each of us be enough? That would be 2 gold coins for the both of us. I ask the innkeeper, eager to get this over with. The innkeeper nods.
That will be more than enough.
I smile at Sylfana, relieved. Give him the 2 gold coins and let him lead us to our room, I say to her. She takes the 2 gold coins and hands them to the innkeeper. The innkeeper leads us down a wooden hall with a few doors bearing numbers. He points at the door with the number 4 and hands us the corresponding key.
That's your room.
He says,
I'll be at the counter should you need anything. Otherwise, good night.
He looks at Sylfana and bows slightly before leaving. She smiles.
Thank you so much, sir.
She turns to you and nods.
Now that we are done with business, let's go to our room and finally rest, okay?
Yes, but there's one problem. We only got 1 room, I say to her, looking troubled. She looks at you, surprised and a little worried.
So, what do we do now?
Let's check the room. Maybe there's more than 1 bed. She nods and unlocks the door with the key the innkeeper gave us, then walks in. So, how is the bedroom? I ask her after she opened the door.
Oh, this is not ideal. We'll have to figure something out.
I enter the bedroom and discover a medium-sized bed inside, as well as a small sofa. I throw my bag on the sofa and turn towards her. I'm sleeping here tonight, I say, nodding my head in direction of the sofa. You take the bed, I say. She nods.
All right, but don't you think it would be better if we shared the bed?
I look at her with surprise. I don't know. I look away, embarrassed. She smiles.
It's okay, I won't bite.
She says with a playful look in her eyes. Are you sure about this? Really, I could sleep on the sofa. I look at her, a bit uneasy. She looks at you with a gentle smile.
Yes, I'm sure.
I look into her green eyes and yield. All right then, we will share the bed for the night. She nods and smiles.
Great.
By the way, did you keep track of our gold coins? How many have we left now? I ask her. She counts the gold coins in her pouch, then nods.
Yes, I have them.
How many do we have, Sylfana? She smiles.
7 gold coins.
Wait, we found 7 gold coins in the house, but we just gave 2 gold coins to the innkeeper to pay for this room. I think we should only have 5 left, don't you? I look at her with an eyebrow raised.
Oh wow, it looks like I was wrong. We actually have 5 gold coins left. I'm so glad you caught that.
I smile broadly at her enthusiasm and humbleness. I've got your back, Sylph, I say proudly and wink at her. She blushes slightly.
I am so happy to have you by my side.
She smiles at you, then turns towards the bed.
Now let's get some rest before we have to wake up again.
I'm glad to have you by my side too, Sylph. All right, Let's rest for the day. Tomorrow we will gather information in the village. This is only our second night in this world. We already have reached civilization. We're moving forward. She smiles. She sits down on the bed, pulling the covers and making herself comfortable before laying down. I remove my armor and boots and get in the bed, keeping myself at a respectful distance from Sylfana. I turn towards her and say, "Thank you for helping me cross the river yesterday. And thank you for jumping to my rescue when I was attacked by the zombie under the chapel. I don't take you for granted."
Thank you so much. It's an honor to fight by your side and have your trust. I'm looking forward to our adventures ahead. Good night.
I smile and turn on my side, knowing that Sylfana has my back as much as I have hers. Good night, Sylph. I close my eyes. She closes her eyes as well, ready to drift off to sleep. We both sleep soundly and are awakened by the ringing of bells nearby in the early hours of the morning. She sits up in the bed, looking around.
What's going on?
She looks at you with tired eyes, clearly not yet fully awake. Take it easy, Sylph. This is just bells ringing somewhere in the village, probably from the steeple of an old chapel. It is still early. You can go back to sleep if you want to, I say to her soothingly. She nods and lies back down.
Yes, you're right.
I close my eyes and we both get an extra couple of hours of sleep. Sunlight now enters the bedroom. She wakes up first.
Good morning.
She sits up in the bed, then looks at you with a tired smile. I open my eyes and see Sylfana sitting in the bed. Oh, you're awoke first. Good morning. How did you sleep?
I slept pretty well, but I have to admit, I'm a bit curious about the bells we heard earlier. Do you think they're important?
We will find out when we talk to the villagers. Our priority is to get a sense of what manner of evil is draining this world of its vital energy. Then we must find its source. I lean on one elbow and look at her. I think we should start by the innkeeper. He may know more than the average villager, given his constant contact with travelers. He's bound to have heard rumors and stories.
I think you're right.
Sylfana stands up from the bed and starts to get dressed. I get up from the bed and start to get dressed too. A night in bed suddenly feels better than yesterday's camping. Sleeping under the stars is refreshing when the weather is favorable, but standing watch doesn't leave much time for sleep. A full night of sleep for both of us is a treat. She chuckles.
I agree.
Now both dressed in the light leather armor we've been summoned with, I prepare for our daily inventory check. It's morning, and you know what we do every morning, Sylph? I ask. She looks at you with a playful smile.
Check the inventory?
A big grin on my face, I say. You're very right. I start laying our inventory on the bed for us to check. So, where are we at today? I say, looking at the handful of items we managed to gather so far. She sits down on the bed next to you and looks at the inventory. Could you list our items for us, please? I say to her gently.
I'm curious about the potion. What does it do?
It's a healing potion. It heals minor wounds if we drink it, I explain.
That's good to know.
She looks at the ring. I follow her gaze towards the ring, noticing her interest. You wonder about the ring we found? I ask her.
Yes. What does it do?
Pick it up. Hold it in the palm of your hand and concentrate, I say, hoping she will be able to feel the faint magical energy emanating from the ring. Sylfana picks up the ring and holds it in the palm of her hand. Feel anything? I ask, looking at her. She shakes her head.
I'm not sure if it's just my imagination, but it feels like a little bit of power.
Indeed, the ring has slight magical power, yet I am unable to identify it. I say, proud to see she managed to feel the faint magic energy. Your senses are keen, Sylfana.
Thank you.
She smiles. I look back at the items on the bed, representing our current inventory. So here's what we have so far. 2 health potions, 1 mana potion, 5 gold coins, 1 scroll of small fireball, 1 unidentified magic ring, 2 light leather armors that we are both currently wearing, and 2 basic steel swords that we are both currently using. We also have a bit of food and water, I say after reviewing everything.
Hey, we're making progress. This is a solid start and we'll only get better from here.
I look at her enthusiasm with a smile. You're right, we're already making progress. It's only the beginning of our 3rd day in this world, after all, I say to her. I look away from the items, at her, and ask gently, Sylph, will you be able to remember our current inventory and keep track of it? She nods.
Of course, I'll keep a careful eye on all our items.
Thank you very much, I say.
Of course!
She smiles.
So, should we check out the village?
First, we start by asking the innkeeper for information. Then, we'll investigate the village. Our priority is to learn about the evil force at work in this world and locate it, I say. She nods.
Okay, let's go.
We leave the bedroom and head down the hallway to meet with the innkeeper. He is still behind the counter. Good morning, sir, I say to him with a nod.
Good morning. I hope you two are having a wonderful start to your day.
Sylfana and I smile warmly to the agreeable innkeeper. We rested well, thank you, I say to him before asking, Sir, we are looking for any information you may have on the evil that plagues this world. It is draining the vital energy of this world. Do you have any information about it? Perhaps stories that passing travelers would have shared with you during their stay at your inn? The innkeeper nods, thinking.
I've heard rumors of a dark presence.
Sylfana's green eyes narrows as she knows this could be important information, and I know it too. Hoping for more information, I wait for the innkeeper to tell us more.
What makes you so interested in this dark presence?
The innkeeper looks cautious as he asks this. I nod to him and say, We are looking to banish this evil force from this world, and your help would be appreciated. Do you know anything about it?
I'm sorry. I don't have any information about this evil force. I've just heard rumors, nothing concrete.
He shakes his head sadly. I look at the innkeeper with a reassuring smile and say to him, You've been helpful enough already. Thanks to you, we have spent the night with a roof over our heads, and we are very likely to spend another night here tonight. The innkeeper smiles.
You two are welcome to stay here as long as you like.
I look towards Sylfana and say to her, All right, let's try to gather information in the village then. She nods.
Lead the way.
I exit the inn, followed by Sylfana. It is early morning and the day is clear. Where should we start? Sylph? I ask her. She pauses for a moment, thinking.
We should probably talk to the people in the village first.
Right. But I don't see anyone around. This is really a tiny village, I say, looking around. She sighs but smiles.
It's not the most populated village, but we can still get some information.
It is so peaceful here. I feel no sign of the evil force. I'm thinking our destination may be farther away than we think, I say, looking at her. She nods.
Yes, you're probably right.
We look around for anyone, but the streets of the village are empty. Eventually, we see someone get out of their home. I nod towards the person and say to Sylfana, "Finally, someone. Let's go." She nods and follows me. A man in his 30s is busy locking up his front door when we approach him. I look at Sylfana and say, "Sylph, you'd better start the conversation. A charming woman can go a long way sometimes when it comes to gathering information." She smiles and nods, then starts the conversation.
Hello, sir.
The man looks up, startled at the sound of Sylfana's cheerful voice. His eyes widens when he sees her, and a slight blush comes across his face. He takes notice of me, standing next to her, and says,
Why, hello there. It's not every day we get to see new faces here in Wien. It is a small and secluded village.
He takes a breath of fresh air as he contemplates the nature surrounding the village, and adds serenely,
But it is peaceful.
She smiles.
I understand. This is a very peaceful place.
The man nods to Sylfana, then asks,
What can I do for you?
still smiling agreeably.
We are adventurers trying to gather information on an evil force that is draining the vital energy of this world.
The man looks concerned and almost solemn.
You're talking about the plague. I don't know much about it. As you can see, Wien is not yet affected by its evil influence. We have been spared so far, but for how long? We hear rumors that it is spreading from the north.
Her eyes widen.
The plague? That's interesting. I've never heard of anything like that before. Do you have any information on where it's coming from, or what we can do to stop it?
The man nods gravely and says,
Yes, it is spreading. The plague appeared in the north a year ago or so. Since then, travelers from the north tell frightening tales of the state of the kingdom up there. It seems the land is becoming barren, and monsters are on the rise, restless.
She looks down, visibly worried, then adds,
If you're looking to see for yourself, you must journey north.
The man looks at us both, and a glimmer of hope appears in his eyes.
It's good to see that young adventurers are willing to stand up in front of such an ominous menace. May the winds of destiny be in your favor during your journey.
Sylfana nods.
Thank you for your kind words.
We both say our goodbyes to the kind man, and decides to sit on a bench at the town square. I turn towards Sylfana, proud of her. You did a great job handling that discussion. Thanks to you, we now know that people refer to this evil force as the plague. You also managed to discover that it originates from the north, and that its influence over the land is spreading.
I don't like the thought of this plague consuming everything in its path. We must put an end to it, no matter the cost. Our journey may be long and difficult, but we will not falter.
I look to the north, thinking. I don't like it either. We must proceed with caution from now on. She nods.
So, should we head north then?
Yes, we must. It is still early. We can make good progress if we head out now. I say as I point towards the northern end of the village, and the road that stretches into the valley and disappears over distant hills. I wanted to buy some equipment and supplies, perhaps even a map of the area if I could, but there seems to be no store in this small village.
I see. Well, we can always find supplies and equipment on the road. It's just disappointing that we can't get everything we need in one place.
Indeed, this would have been convenient. But as you said, we may find supplies and equipment on the road. We now have a destination, and this village also brought a roof over our heads last night, so I think we already made plenty of progress. All thanks to you, too, I say, looking at her with complicity.
You're giving me too much credit.
I smile as I get up and say, all right, let's venture north. We'll follow the road. It's bound to lead us to another village at some point. Sylfana gets up and follows me.
Yes, let's get moving.
We exit Veen and follow the road to the north. After some uneventful walking, we spot a beautiful waterfall not too far from the road. A rainbow sparkles in the sunlight. Do you want to go check it out, Sylph? I ask her. She looks up at the beautiful waterfall and nods.
Yes, let's go.
I grin and say, all right, let's check it out, as I follow Sylfana towards the waterfall. As we get closer, Sylfana notices a small cave behind the waterfall.
What's in here?
I frown, looking closely at the entrance to the small cave. I don't know. We could check it out if we find a safe path to reach it. We look around and find a way to reach the cave.
I don't think anything dangerous is hiding in this cave, but let's be cautious.
I agree. Remember, if we find ourselves in trouble, we could use a health potion or the scroll of small fireball we found. I say as we make our way behind the waterfall and into the cave. We enter the cave and find an old rusty sword and a strange book lying on the ground. I crouch to take a closer look at the sword. It's been lying in the damp cave for ages and is now covered in rust, useless. That sword is too rusty, we can't use it, I say as she inspects the strange book. What about that book? What is it? I ask her, intrigued. She picks up the book and inspects it.
It's a journal.
A journal? Whose is it and what does it say? I ask, walking in her direction.
It doesn't have any names in it, but this journal is full of useful survival tips for travelers.
I take a look at the journal over her shoulder. This may come in handy. I think you should add it to our inventory. We can take a closer look tonight, see if we can learn something with it. She nods.
All right, let's keep it.
Sylfana is standing next to the mouth of the cave. Sunlight sparkles through the waterfall behind her. I give her a smile and ask, Sylph, now that we explored that cave, what about we try the water?
That sounds like a great idea. Let's go for a swim.
We get out of the cave and stand on the bank of the river next to the waterfall. The water is bound to freshen us up. We'll resume journeying north afterwards. Sylfana nods, eager to jump into the river.
We can also get rid of some sweat and dirt.
Indeed, I say as I remove my boots and armor and take a step into the water. It's quite cold, I say to her, wincing. She giggles.
Maybe we should warm up a bit before jumping in.
I turn towards her, quite surprised. Warm up a bit. How so, Sylph? I ask her.
Do a few exercises?
I nod in understanding. That might be a good idea. Let's do it. We start doing some simple exercises. After a bit, we are warmed up enough. I think that should do the trick. She nods.
Ready to jump in?
Let's go, I say, and we run into the cold water, gasping. Sylfana's wet green hair shines in the sunlight. She's shivering but looks happy and cheerful despite that. Warming up helped, I say, but the water is still cold. I grin at her.
Oh, this is fun. The water might be cold, but it's invigorating. Let's see who can swim the fastest.
I chuckle at her challenge. The first to the waterfall wins, I say, and dive into the water. We start swimming side by side.